What up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you again for stopping by. Got some big news to cover. I was going to go over the next game on the schedule. I was going to preview the Virginia Tech game, but of course, the script had to get thrown out the window last minute because we got big news. Tyler Barron, probably the most sought after defensive player in the transfer portal right now, 6'5", 260-pound edge rusher from Tennessee. Earlier tonight, committed to the University of Miami. This is a massive get, so let's dive in. All right, so Tyler Barron. First of all, before I do that, let me hit this dono. Norman, as always, thank you for that. Could always use that for more cafecito, and this is a celebratory cafecito shot. Cheers. We're going to need the fuel tonight. So, Tyler Barron, as I said, 6'5", 260, physically has all the tools to be a high NFL draft pick next year. Decided to stay one more year in school, decided to transfer to the U. And what kind of player are we getting? Well, if you're not too familiar with his stats, let me fill you in. According to PFF, he had an 83.2 pass rush grade, which, if you're not too familiar with PFF, 83 is considered very good, kind of like on that very good to great margin. 90 is like elite. Very few players achieve that. So just to give you an idea. So 83.2 pass rush grade and 41 pressures, according to PFF as well. 6 sacks last season, 10.5 tackles for loss, 1 fumble recovery that he returned 24 yards for a touchdown. He's versatile. You can move him around. He can play inside a little bit, but mostly he's going to play on the edge. And they're getting a very strong edge rusher, I think, because when you look at his tape, I mean, his bull rush is one of the best I've seen from a defensive end in a while. Reminds me a lot of Jalen Phillips. But has all the other tools in his arsenal, the rip move, the swim move. He has a really good spin move. Definitely can bolster his stock to go high in the draft next year. With that, I have my guest in the waiting room right now. Please, let's give him a warm welcome. I think you guys all know him. What's going on, brother? Hello.
How you doing, man? Good to see you.
Hey. You too, brother. It's been a while.
Yeah,
I was actually looking.
You all right?
Yeah. I can hear you. Yeah, I think it was a bit of a lag. But yeah, I was just looking. I actually had you on the show. I don't know if you remember. It was like 2 years ago. I can't believe it's already been 2 years. Oh. Yep, there was a lag. I was correct. He'll hop back on. But anyway, where was I? Yeah, so this is a massive pickup for many reasons. Yeah, progressive mind that I can this definitely solidifies the 10-win thing for me, and we'll talk with John Michaels about it now. Sorry, just getting a message from my other guest. Oh, looks like we'll have to reschedule that one. All right, no problem. So, yeah, this definitely solidifies the confidence in me that we can get those 10 wins this season. It's big. And also, if you look at the depth chart, now you have Ruben Bain on one side, you have Tyler Barron most likely starting on the other end. Like, I don't know who you're going to double team. Let's try this again. What's up, man? Can you hear me?
Let's try it again. I had to go to the phone. The computer didn't want to work for me.
That's happened to me. No worries, man. Yeah, it's been like a couple years since I've had you on, actually. I couldn't believe how fast time flew by.
It's crazy. I mean, there used to be a time during the off season that I couldn't make it through 3 days without, oh my God, when is going to be football? We were talking about it today on our show here in Atlanta. I go, the preview magazines come out usually that first week of June, with NCAA football coming out in early July. I said, man, we're almost to the football season, and it doesn't feel like it was that long ago that the Rutgers game had just happened.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that too, because we're towards the end of May already. It's May 21st. And yeah, that Rutgers game feels recent.
Yeah,
Super
it
recent.
does. Recent disaster, but I'm glad we don't have to deal with that one a whole lot any longer. Hopefully, this year is completely different because I'll be honest, I'm sick and tired of playing bowl games in or like mid-December. Although now, if you're in a mid-December playoff game, it actually might be a really good thing because you're in an opening round with a chance to move on. But I'm tired of playing in meaningless bowl games. I'm tired of our season being over in mid-October. Hopefully, now with a new mindset, a lot of transfers coming in, new quarterback, coordinators actually staying for the first time in a long time, and an
Yeah,
expanded playoff field, there's a lot to look forward to.
for sure. And well, obviously, let's address the big news that just happened. Like within the last couple of hours, we landed Tyler Barron finally.
Mhm.
You know, he announced his commitment. Tell me, what do you think about this pickup?
I mean, it just solidifies one of the most important positions on the field. Anytime you can get a guy that can come off the edge and get the pressures that Barron's had, have the size that Barron's had, played in a conference the way that he has in the SEC, and obviously produced at a high level, it's huge. You pair him with a healthy Akeem Mesidor, you pair him with a Reuben Bain, the kids that you've already brought in from Michigan State and North Carolina State and Middle Tennessee and all these other places, and you look and you go, this starts to look like a Miami defensive line that we had back in our heyday. Now, we don't have a Warren Sapp yet. We don't have a Cortez Kennedy. Hell, we probably don't even have a Jerome McDougal or anybody like that, although Reuben Bain has those chances to be that guy. To me, those are the most important positions. You know, when Mario came in a couple of years ago, Manny had the flash. We all know about the chain and the fun and all the blitzing that we did and everything else. But when you truly looked at the team, they never really looked like a contender. Even 2017, when Mark Richt had them start 10-0 and we were ranked number 2 in the country, if you really looked across the board, it was like we like Chad Thomas, we like the young kids and Joe Jackson, and who else was over there coming off the other end?
Garvin.
Yeah, John Garvin. You had young kids there, and Trent Harris was really good, but they still just didn't look like Miami. They looked like they had to manufacture a lot of the pressures that they got. You brought in dudes now that look like dudes, that look like guys
Hmm.
that can play for anybody in the country, and I love to see it.
Yeah, because I look at that starting front four right now, and you're right. I think back to 2017. I think is the last time I said I had like a formidable front four.
Right.
When I say formidable, I mean like, okay, the four guys, I think Chad Thomas was like a third rounder, but after that, it was like a lot of seventh round, undrafted free agent kind of guys that, they bounced around the league, which, that's an accomplishment in itself. But
Sure.
now you look, it's like, I see the potential with these four. These are all at worst day 2 picks, in my opinion.
Sure.
I look at this front four, like, when was the last time we had that across the front four? I 05 maybe?
Right.
I can't remember.
Yeah, it's been 20 years since we've had that kind of depth. And I think that's the biggest thing when you have that kind of depth. It's in today's day and age, and I live in Atlanta. A lot of people know that. I have to cover the University of Georgia a lot more than I'd like to, but I would love Miami to emulate what Kirby Smart has put on the board. You're talking about guys like Jordan Davis coming through there, Trayvon Walker. You're talking about first round, high level draft choices that come out. And when you go to their practice facility, and I've been lucky enough to be in there during spring ball up inside the football offices, and you see the size of these guys and just the sheer athleticism, they're disruptors. And they don't just go 3 or 4 deep. It's 7, 8, 9, 10 deep, and there's really no drop off. They'll have guys get in trouble, miss a game, no problem. Another redshirt freshman comes in and puts up numbers. And that's what Miami needs to get back to. Mario, if the wins haven't come yet, but at least you're starting to see the Miami type of athletes coming there.
Yeah. No, and Jay Singh here hints at that depth that we have, because you also have, like you said, Mesidor, we have Alston, and then you
Right.
got the young guys, Cole McConaughey, who look really good in spring. You got Lightfoot, who looked pretty good. You just got to add some weight. You still have Pickett. I don't think he comes in until the fall. So yeah, lots to be excited about just at that position. I'm glad you brought up Georgia though, because I mean, you're in the area. Obviously, you cover them. You have some more insight than we might. How does a program like that in today's day and age with the transfer portal and players getting paid and all that stuff, NIL, how does a team keep like a D line 9, 10 guys deep? It seems like it's just going to be that much. Even if you are winning, it seems like it's that much harder. Or is winning enough to keep them?
Winning's a lot. Their facilities are second to none. I mean, I know Ohio State and Alabama and Texas have some unbelievable things. What Georgia's done to build that program, really since Mark Richt got there 25 years ago, is really second to none. I'm blown away when I walk through there. As the diehardest Miami fan in the world, I walk in there, I go, my goodness, if my son got recruited to go here, how the hell do you tell them no? Now they
Yeah.
did lose, I want to say 14 or 15 kids in the portal this offseason. The problem is they they lose a 4-star, they replace them with a 5-star. They lose a 5-star, they replace them with another 5-star. There's just no room for drop off. And Kirby Smart, part of the reason he keeps the program as good as it is, he preaches competition and he doesn't give a damn if you leave. I'll go back a year ago. Bear Alexander, who was a high 5-star defensive tackle recruit,
Hmm.
Bear Alexander, from my understanding, walked in and said, I need more. I need more money. And Kirby Smart goes, here's what, kind of what your NIL possibilities are. Take it or leave it. And USC apparently ponied up more money and gave him an apartment and had him living here, there, and wherever. Kirby didn't think twice about it. He goes, I don't care that you were a 5-star. I don't care that in the championship game you had a couple of sacks. Guess what? I got 10 other kids who are dying to be here and they're dying to win championships. Because we can all say now, it maybe used to be about money. It maybe used to be about facilities. Everybody now has money. And with NIL, your brand can make you whatever money you want. To me, it's all about putting a ring on your finger. And when you win 2 in a row, and they've gone, I think, 33-2, something like that, some ridiculous number over a 3-year stretch. Actually, it's probably like 43-2 because they lost twice in a 15-game season.
Yeah,
When you can do that, kids decide to stick around.
for sure. Yeah, no, and some would argue that they should have made the Final Four last year.
Sure.
Eh, do you have them as the best team in America right now?
I mean, for now, yeah. I mean, I haven't honestly, because of all the moves in the portal. I don't really start doing full on research until probably June or July. And the only reason, there's so much movement now in college football, there's guys on Miami's roster that I got to look at and really figure out where they are depth wise and everything else. It used to be, all right, kids were sophomores, we know they're juniors. They're juniors, we know they're seniors. Hell, now they're a senior and they're being replaced by a senior from somewhere else. But I think with Georgia, their receiver room is really good. Adding Colby Young is going to be huge. Bringing back Carson Beck is one of the best quarterbacks, if not the best quarterback in all of college football. They're always going to be great on the O line. They're always going to be great on the D line. Their secondary is top notch, and they're going to be able to run the football. So, as of right now, yeah, I think they're number one. I think Ohio State's a team that's going to be right in the mix with them. Texas, with Quinn Ewers coming back, guys like that are going to be teams that are there. And I think Alabama, even with the coaching change, Kalen DeBoer is one everywhere he's at. I think he's 102-14 in his stops in college football. And I
Yeah.
say it, I don't care if you're in the chicken bleep league. You win 102 games and only lose 14, you got to
Mhm.
be one hell of a coach.
Yeah, no, and it tells me a lot if you're a coach that has won when you don't have the resources.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then little by little, he coaches at bigger schools, and goes to Washington, where I'm sure nobody thought he was gonna do what he did. And look at him now. So yeah, he's gonna do just fine in Alabama, maybe with like one rough transition year. But anyway, but back to Miami. Speaking of expectations, so this for me at least solidifies, like, I was on the cusp 9, 10 wins, because like there's always that one game that we F up. It seems like it. I can only go by past trends, and it's been 20 years
Right.
of this, but with this pickup, it's like I look at this roster up and down. I've looked at it 2 deep, 3 deep on both sides, and I'm like, there is no excuse for less than 10 wins. I don't know. Do you feel the same way, or are you kind of taking like a wait and see approach?
Oh, I can't take wait and see anymore. I've given Mario well, I haven't given him a pass. You follow me on social media. I've buried him from year one. Like, there's a lot of inexcusable crap that's gone on over the first 2 years. And trust me, I was 1,000,000% on the Mario train. He's the one guy I felt that understood Miami enough and it had enough cachet across the country to really bring this program back. And the way that he's built it, my patience level, being close to 50 years old and a long way removed from us being great, is basically zero at this point. I'm ready to, headbutt a wall every time we lose a football game. but you've now built to this year, third year kind of crescendo. Quarterbacks in place in Cam Ward. Obviously, running back depth with Damian Martinez coming in. Receivers, you're 7 or 8 deep where I feel like any of those guys can play. Probably the best offensive line we've had since Bryant McKinney's been there, and that was 22 years ago in 2001. We talked about the defensive line. You've now got Miami linebackers that look like linebackers. Defensive backfield, I am a little bit nervous. Safety is going to be a work in progress. I think third and fourth corner are going to be works in progress. You've got really good special teams in the punting and the kicking game, and you have a schedule that sets it up. Go to the swamp and kick those ding dongs' ass, and you're going to be sitting there at 5 or 6 and 0.
Yeah.
Then you obviously have a stretch with Virginia Tech and Florida State that are going to be some tough games, but you get both of those teams at home. Louisville on the road. I heard they made that homecoming for them, which is going to be a big ass mistake. We
Ooh.
owe them for what happened last year. We get Georgia Tech up here, and Georgia Tech's got a really funky schedule where they go like game by Miami game, another bye. So they're probably going to be a little bit rusty coming down the stretch. They're going to be tough. I think offensively, they'll give us some issues with Haynes King and some of the guys. But to me, 10 wins is the floor. If he can't win 10 games this year, you probably got to open up the purse strings and start figuring out who can, because he has put the resources in place to win football games, and the schedule's there for them to do so.
Yeah. Yeah. Outside of like injuries, I don't see any reason why. But that's another thing. It's like that's 3 years in a row now that injuries would be a problem. Hopefully that stops.
Right.
But yeah, assuming your guys are relatively healthy, assuming Cam Ward is healthy, yeah, there's no excuse.
That's the one. I'll say this. That's the one position that injury could wreck the season, because I like Emory Williams. I was sitting second row at the FSU game. The kid gave his arm, his heart, and his soul. I don't think he's ready to be a starting quarterback in Power 4 as of right now. He was thrust into that because Tyler Van Dyke threw the ball to the wrong team way too many times. Poffenbarger, I honestly, I haven't seen enough of him. I heard he didn't look great in the spring game. The highlights I watched, it was like, okay, could he come in and give us a spark for a possession or maybe 2 or 3? Maybe. We'll see how that works. But Cam Ward's the one position I feel that if you do have injury, it could be one that ends up derailing the season from 10 or 11 college football playoff good to maybe 7 or 8 where things go sideways. And I just hope, and I know people have given Mario a lot of crap about this, and I do the same. Let Shannon Dawson call the game how he wants to. I was at the Texas A&M game, and I looked at that passing attack, and I'm not going to lie, I felt like we had an offense that could score with anybody. And then somewhere along the line at the Georgia Tech game, we started getting a lot more conservative. And I know Tyler was playing really poorly in that game through a couple of red zone turnovers. But it seemed like from that point on, Mario just started to tighten the reins and say, no, 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 we're going to go back to the style that I want. Run the football, play action pass. You got a dynamic quarterback, one of the top 4 or 5 receiver rooms in all of college football with Restrepo and George and all the guys, Sam Brown, who you bring in, some of the young pieces I think that are going to be good. You got to let Shannon Dawson be Shannon Dawson. At his core, he wants to throw the football and then power run off of it. Do like Dennis Erickson did, use the pass to set up the run, and things go from there.
1,000%. Yeah, I was at that A&M game as well, and I was like, dude, we just dropped nearly 50 on an SEC team, and one that was mediocre, but still.
Sure.
And I was watching that, and I'm like, I saw the creativity, and yeah, no, a lot of things derailed last season. It was the not taking the knee, it was the turnovers, it all came to a head basically in the same week.
Yeah.
You know, hopefully nothing like that ever happens again. I think trust in his quarterback is going to be key. This is Mario's guy. This is who he wanted. So I would imagine there's trust there. So now we add Barron. We may or may not add 1 or 2 more guys. I mean, in today's day and age, there may still be movement all the way until kickoff. You never know. I mean, would you still like to see them add at another position? I mean, you mentioned the secondary, or I mean, do you want to just see them kind of develop the guys they have? What would you like to see?
I mean, at this point, unless there's somebody dynamic, I don't want to see somebody else get pushed out. And I know there were some guys that it was, all right, hey, we're going to hit the portal and leave Miami. And I think some of that was they were having conversations behind closed doors saying, look, you're not going to be a part of the 85, or you're going to be somebody that's literally going to practice and nothing else. I think they've got what they need. And I saw one of the comments popped up and he's spot on. Great pass rush can make even the most mediocre secondary look really good. I mean, you look at Kansas City, what they did this year in the playoffs and everywhere else. All of a sudden, everybody's pressuring, and I know they had some guys. L'Jarius Sneed made the Pro Bowl. Nobody really knew who L'Jarius Sneed was 2 years ago, but suddenly, when you're getting a ton of sacks, you look great. 2 years ago, the Eagles had 70 sacks. I use Florida State. I hate to use them for an example, but with Jared Verse and Patrick Payton and all the
Mhm.
Braden Fisk and the guys that they made life miserable for quarterbacks. And you can even go back to 2017 with us. Now, I get it. We had Mike Jack and Trajan Bandy. Obviously, Jaquan was great. But the guys up front were able to garner a lot of pressure. And if we could be a team that lives in the 3 to 4 sack range seemingly every game, which I think you can, you're going to make life difficult for college quarterbacks. And let's be honest, think about the quarterbacks we play across this year. Graham Mertz is pretty good. I'm not going to downplay. I know Miami fans love to bang on it. Kid actually played pretty well a year ago.
Mhm.
Outside of that, who do we play that's a great quarterback? Haynes King might be the second best quarterback we play all season long at Georgia Tech. I think DJU is pretty mediocre. I don't even know who the hell the quarterback is at Louisville now that Jack Plummer is gone. North Carolina loses Drake May. We don't play murderers row. So to your point about would I like to shore up the secondary? Yeah, if a perfect piece falls, absolutely. But if not, let some of these young kids develop and show the next group that's coming in, hey, you're going to have a chance at Miami to play early.
Yeah. Louisville had I think they got Tyler Shue, that kid from Texas
That's it.
Tech.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
hadn't he been to like 3 programs already?
Three or
He don't
four. It's like
scare.
his seventh. It's like his seventh year.
He was at Oregon for a minute. I know he was at Texas Tech, now Louisville. The fact that I have no idea, I know who he is, but didn't know he was at Louisville, lets me know I ain't worried about him. We bet not let that scrub throw for 350 some odd yards. I'll tell you that damn much.
If this was like 7, 8 years ago, we would. I would be like, oh, I
Oh,
know what's coming. I know it's coming. This is Thursday night at Cincinnati all over again.
when we wore those stupid ice jerseys, I was
Yeah.
so excited. I was like, oh, these jerseys are dope. And then I lost a bet. There was a former reporter for the Falcons when I was doing radio for the team. She went to Cincinnati. So we had an avatar bet. That was the most I could get her to bet. And I ended up having to have a stupid Cincinnati Bearcat for like 9 days on my social media page. And I said, that's it. Al Golden could go jump off a bridge somewhere and go swim in a lake for all I care.
That was the year he got fired, if I'm not mistaken. I like,
Think it was 1 year
yeah,
too late, but yeah, he did get fired finally.
yeah. But no, those days are in the past. I don't want to bring that up. So our next game, obviously the first game in the swamp, they already announced the time, 3:30. Are you going to be at the game by any chance?
100%. I'm already talking with Derek Coe and my good friend Brad Tejeda, Dirty Bird. We're all
Nice.
linking up. I got a couple of friends of mine driving down with me from Atlanta. We'll be there Friday. I've heard Caneswear has a party. I know Brad. I think Brad is partnered with Caneswear, so we'll be bouncing around with them, and then hooking up with X and Kappa Kane and and that whole group, Wesley and all of them, on Saturday at some point to tailgate. I still got to get tickets, but I do have a hotel, which is probably the most important thing getting down there. I couldn't get anything in Gainesville, not going to lie to you. I wasn't paying $900 to stay in some 1-star Motel 6 meth lab. So I'm staying in Ocala. I'll make that 30-mile drive coming back up the other way on game day, but I can't wait. That one is locked in. And I'm actually coming down the following weekend for FAMU. My wife surprised me to come to the home opener as well. So
Nice.
I'll be at those two. I'll be at Florida State, and then obviously here for Georgia Tech.
Very nice. Yeah, no, we win that game against Florida. I think the results of that game, it will be two different atmospheres at the FAMU game. But if we win,
Oh,
FAMU, I'm not saying sell out. It's FAMU. I'd say at least 58, 60,000 at Hard Rock
if
for
we
that
win.
first game.
We lose, there's going to be good sections available. You might be able to get in there for $1.75 if we lose the UF.
Yeah. But on that subject, how are you feeling overall in that game? I'm taking the approach of, look, it's the first win, it's the first week, first game,
Mhm.
hostile environment. We haven't had a chance to get in a rhythm yet.
Right.
Give me the W. I really do not care how we do it. If we kick their ass, fantastic. But just get the W and get the hell out of there. How are you feeling about that game?
It's going to be. I know a lot of Miami fans online are like, "This is a blowout." It's not going to be a blowout. Florida is going to be sky high. It's their home opener. I think most of those players know they're playing for Billy Napier's life. Hell, he may not, with the news that dropped today, he may not be the coach come opening day if he actually did promise Jaden Rashada $1 million. I'm hoping he stays the coach at least through that game. They do have some weapons. They picked up the kid from is Arizona State, the wide receiver. I like their other receiver mix.
Yeah.
Montrell Johnson's a good back. They're not great on the defensive line. I think they're pitiful on the offensive line. I think those are huge advantages, Miami. But you got to be able to walk in front of 93, 94, 95,000 people, however many they fit in that bandbox of a swamp. And it's going to be August 31st. It's going to be 1,000,000 degrees. It's going to be 1,000,000% humidity. And figure out how not to beat yourself. I hope Mario harkens back to a couple of years ago as the Oregon coach in week 2 when they walked into the horseshoe at Ohio State and they had a great game plan behind Anthony Brown and running the football and they were able to take care of Ohio State. If you can handle the lines, which I think you can, Florida's not going to be able to beat you. But if you turn the ball over, and I know that's one of the bugaboos on Cam Ward, interceptions and fumbles, you turn the ball over and let a lesser team stay in there, I think the game's going to be close. I think it's close. I think Miami will win, but I think it's going to be in the touchdown range, 27-20, 24-17, somewhere in there. We're going to have to play defense. We're going to have to be able to run the football, take that crowd out of it, and let us celebrate and get the hell out of the swamp later on that night.
Yeah, I think obviously taking care of the football, it's in any football game, but especially a big game like this one is massive. Fast start is if we score first, I will feel a ton better. I'll be like,
Right.
okay, we'll be good. Just don't do anything stupid and we'll be fine. Yeah. So fast start there is huge, but
you coming up for that game?
I will be at Flo's watch party in Orlando for that.
Okay.
So I'll be nearby. Won't be in Gainesville though, but yeah, I'll be close by. I would love to. It's funny. One road game I've always wanted to do, I haven't done, is Georgia Tech. It's a quick, easy flight. It's right there in Atlanta. I've been to Atlanta many times. I mean, have you been to? I'm assuming you've been to a Georgia Tech game, right?
Oh my God! Every year Miami's here, I've been there, and I used to actually be the in-game host for Georgia Tech basketball 15 years ago. So we're on campus. I know Coach Key really well. One of my radio host friends was the 99 Heisman runner-up, Joe Hamilton. So that's one of my partners on the radio. So we're at Tech quite a bit. We'll go down typically on a Thursday night when Miami's not playing. I'll go there. But anytime the Canes are here, I'm absolutely there. It's honestly one of the easiest places to get tickets to. Their fan base does not. You think we don't go to games? They've got a beautiful 55,000 seat stadium right on campus. Their students could care less. They will sell you tickets as fast as they can get rid of them on game day. When we played them 2 years ago, now we were both awful. It was the year that Jakari ended up starting, and we beat them up there. And I think Cam had a couple of 2 or 3 interceptions, including a long pick six. There weren't 30,000 people there, if that. The only problem in November in Atlanta, it can be cold and miserable. And I have a feeling because of the way their schedule sets up, they're going to want to get people in the stadium. I got a feeling that's going to be a night game if Miami and Tech are as good as we think. But that's a great game to come up to. There's always places to hang out here in Atlanta. Hotels are easy. Getting to the stadium's easy. So make sure we link up before then. If you get a chance to come up here, we'll definitely put on a good time for you.
That'd be cool because I heard it's a cool experience. It is a nice stadium. Yeah, the last one I did was a few years back, Chapel Hill.
Okay.
More than a few years back. It was the 2017 year. I went up for that game. Perfect weather. It was awesome. But yeah, no, I'll link up with you if I do end up deciding to do that.
Yeah, I was gonna say my experience in Chapel Hill wasn't quite as good as yours. 2017 we won, although it was a close game. We shouldn't have been that close with them.
Yeah, I remember.
My only time in Chapel Hill, we went back-to-back weekends. One weekend we played NC State in 2004. Devin Hester returned the opening kickoff for a touchdown.
Yes.
We beat them like 45-31. I think T.A. McClendon had like 200 yards against us, but we won. The following weekend we were in Chapel Hill. So I was in Chapel Hill and Raleigh are about 5.5 hours from Atlanta. So we drove up to Raleigh, drove back. Next weekend, we were like, screw this, we're going to Carolina. And that was the Connor Barth walk-off field goal at the buzzer. And let me tell you, trying to get back through their campus to get to my car, I was called everything in the book. I was told where I needed to go, what kind of boat I needed to get on. Um, it was not the most pleasant experience. And we got the hell out of North Carolina as quick as we possibly could.
I can't think of a worse trip to Chapel Hill, and there's been some bad ones over the years. That's still the worst one. I'll tell you a quick funny story. I was a senior in high school that year. I was at my homecoming dance,
Oh,
and this was back in the days of flip phones. People were getting score updates,
sure.
and we're all taking a peek at and this is North Carolina. For those that may be too young to remember or whatever, North Carolina in '04 was trash.
Yeah, they were 3-4 when we played them.
They were awful. I thought we were going to drop 60 on them.
Right.
We put Devin Hester at running back on some plays. I thought, oh, we're gonna go off on these people. I still don't know how we did it, but whatever. I'm at my dance and we're getting the score updates, and we're down 7-0, 7-7. Now we're down 14-7, and we're like, what the hell's going on? No way to watch it. We're just getting score updates. Finally, someone I guess they're lining up for the field goal, so we'll keep refreshing it. It's right. 33-33 or whatever, and finally it said 36-33 final, and we're like, we are in shock. Yeah, that was that was terrible. That was kind of like the start of the decline, really, if you look back at it.
Yeah, I've been to some miserable games. That was one of the first ones where I walked out in complete disbelief and shock. I went to the end of the '05 season. I went to the Peach Bowl. One of the first I've ever walked out of. About mid-third quarter, I looked around. There's a bunch of drunk LSU fans. I have been way overserved, and I said, this is not going to end well. And I looked at a buddy of mine. I said, let's get the hell out of here. We ended up at some strip club, which was probably not the wisest decision, but it was a better decision than sitting there and having to hear the LSU guys. And that was the day we had the famous brawl in the tunnel after the game. I think Andrew Baines sucker punched an LSU player, and it went sideways from there. I also went out to Norman, Oklahoma in,
07?
Oh God, it had to be Mario, or it was Randy's first year, I think, 2007.
Yes, I remember that.
It was 21-13 at halftime, and I'm like, all right, we're in this. We're good.
I remember.
And we lost 51-13, and I sat there till the bitter end because I was like, I flew all the way to damn Dallas and drove to Norman, Oklahoma. I'm going to sit, and the Oklahoma fans looked at me and they go, dude, you're better than us. We'd have left an hour ago. And I said, yeah, I flew out here. What else am I going to do? So I was at that one. There's been some miserable ones. I was at Georgia Tech. Speaking of Georgia Tech, the year that Paul Johnson and company, they won the ACC. It had to be '08. It was a Thursday night game, and Jonathan Dwyer must have ran for 700 yards on that stupid dive option. And Randy Shannon, in his infinite wisdom, had the defensive tackles lined up outside the guard gap. So all they were doing was just sealing. The center was picking off our inside linebacker, and Dwyer ran crazy. So it was absolutely nuts.
Yeah. We'll end on a positive note, no, positive memory. Anthony Manzano is asking us, for you guys, what is the craziest tailgate experience you had for any Hurricanes football game? Mine was '04 versus Florida State. I remember that very well. That might actually be mine also.
Was that the game that got moved because of the hurricane?
Yes, it got moved to a Friday. Again, my senior year, I was at Columbus, and I remember a good chunk of my class was at the game. I remember school letting out, and I bolted for my locker, we change of clothes in the car, straight for the stadium. Yeah, either that or '03 against Florida, probably the craziest Orange Bowl tailgate experiences.
And I was at both of those. So the '04 game, I drove. So the hurricane hits, and we're sitting there watching, going, trying to be Doppler weather guys coming from Atlanta. Hey, there's going to be a little sliver if we hit right here. Like, you can't drive through a damn hurricane. Thankfully, they moved the game. I had general admission tickets, so I was in the stadium at probably 4:00. We sat row 2 in the end zone where Frank Gore scored to win the game. So I didn't really get a chance to tailgate. I think about the craziest ones I've been to. 2000 against Florida State, flew down to go there. That was wide right 3. We went to College Game Day. I'm not going to lie. A buddy of mine had strippers over the house the night before. He lived in Palm Beach. So we were partying with them till 5, slept from 5 to about 7:30, got up, started guzzling Hennessy, and we're like, all right, we're on our way. Screaming at Lee Corso the whole time. Walked in the stadium and saw one of the greatest games I've ever seen. 2003 against Florida was nuts. I mean, we were so close to getting in fights every other step because of those idiot Gator fans. I'm not gonna lie, 2014 against Florida State was my 40th birthday. Happened to be on the day that we played them. That was the Jameis Winston game where we had a big lead, unfortunately lost. I partied with Zach Krantz and all of his buddies from QAM. We got hammer time for
Mhm.
that. And I'm not going to lie, 2 years ago, although we got our ass whooped by Florida State, X and his crew put on an unbelievable party in what now is the Blue Lot. And we partied like it was no tomorrow, getting ready for that game. And unfortunately, 45-3 at halftime, Brad Tejeda and I got the hell out of Dodge and went somewhere else. But it was always good times. Like, here's the thing. Even though, and I think Miami fans know this well, even though we haven't been good, I will tell you, our tailgates, when that place is packed, are second to none. And unfortunately, Cody, I didn't get to go to Notre Dame in 2017. It was my birthday weekend again. I had season tickets at the time. Third row, section 105, one of those corner end zones. And my wife goes, babe, you can't, because we got 3 kids and it was the middle of the NFL season. So I would have had to take a 6 a.m. flight to come home and work a Falcons game the next day. And she was like, you can't do that. So I sold my tickets for $1,000 a piece. I paid for like 2 more seasons worth of tickets, but I had Cutler Ridge Laz texting me, Mondo. They're all texting me going, bro, where are you at? 5 in the morning, I'm coming home from a club celebrating my own birthday. And they're all like, dude, we're on campus. You got to be here. And I'm like, nah, I'm just getting home from a party in Atlanta. And that was one of the craziest games I've ever watched on TV. Might be one of the last times I've shed a tear for a Miami game. Like, I see that game today and I still get chills every time I see it.
Oh, I still go back and play just to feel the crowd. Just that 2-game stretch of them and Vatek. It just shows you we get back to that kind of crowd. Just win, just freaking win. It's got to be a big game because if you win and you have Temple coming in, no one shows up. But
I was going to say, even the week after Notre Dame, people forget that we played Virginia, and it was a loud crowd, but it was probably 45,000, 50,000. Had to make a great comeback. Kirk Benkert wouldn't miss a damn throw for like 2 quarters, 2.5 quarters. And then Jaquan had that huge pick. That was a remarkable year. Then we went to the ACC title game. That was not a fun Saturday afternoon and evening for me. And then having to drive back again, driving back till 3 in the morning and having to work a Falcons game at 1 o'clock. And I walked in, and Wes Durham, who's the play-by-play voice of the Falcons, does a lot on ACC. He just looks at me and shakes his head. And I said, I don't want to talk about it today. I just want to go on the field and I want to do my job, and that's it.
Yeah. Well, anyways, man, I don't want to keep you on too long, but thank you for dropping in. I know you had a busy schedule, but thanks for making a little time. Talk some Canes, talk the good news about landing Tyler Barron. We got 70 in the chat right now. Thank you guys again. Please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button on your way out. John, please let the folks know, if they don't know, where they can find your content. I see you put your Twitter handle there. Let them know where they can hear your stuff.
Yep. Hit me up on Twitter at John Michaels U or at State of Miami Pod. I haven't done a podcast in a while. I'm not going to lie. I hate negativity, so I've kind of let things slide. But if you want to listen to local radio in Atlanta, at 680 The Fan, we've got an app, the 680 The Fan app. I do mornings there from 6 to 10. I will always throw a Canes, Heat, or Dolphins nugget in whenever I can get it in. It's a lot of Atlanta talk, but we do a lot of guy talk and a lot of fun there. I promise you this. I got to come on before the season gets going. Let's not make it a couple of years before I'm on again.
No, for sure. No, I love talking to you because you always get me fired up. And, dude, I'm like, screw 10-2, 12-0. Let's go. We can win all these
the way
games.
You're thinking.
Why not? Why not? If we could go 10-0 in 2017 with that team put together with bubble gum and Band-Aids, we can win 12 with this one.
I like the way you think.
Yeah. All right, man.
All right.
Go Canes.
Talk to you soon. Go Canes.
Talk to you soon, man. Have a good one.